Hey Garrett, how are you?
Hey, Paula, I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Happy to have you guys on. Yeah, we've been working pretty closely with squads and altitude, for the last bit, and even had our cocktail hour together last week at Consensus. So yeah, or 2 weeks ago now at Consensus. So it's a pleasure to have you on today. Before we get started, I'll just give a little introduction on myself and Range, and then I will let you take it from there. But yeah, before we get started, I'm Paula Pettit. I'm the VP of Strategy and Growth here at Range. For those new to Range, we're building infrastructure for stablecoin payments and digital asset treasuries. We do help secure squads, multi-sigs. So that's a great team that we work with. And then, yeah, we work with other teams like Circle, Stellar, and the Solana Foundation to monitor those assets across transactions, chains, and enforce treasury policies. So if anybody listening is interested in that, please reach out. But without further ado, I want to let Garrett give a little bit of an introduction on yourself and Altitude, and then we can go.
For sure. Well, first, just want to say I'm a huge fan of Range. Like, we're a huge fan of Range's products, but also I am a huge fan of the team. So everything I say is maybe biased because I'm a very big fan. But it's up only for Range. So I am Garrett Harper. I lead partnerships at Squads. It can get confusing in this conversation. Maybe Squads is the name of the company, and then we have two main products. There's Squads Multisig, and there's Altitude. But to step back, I've been at Squads now, I think, for about 2.5 years. Before that, I was at Blockworks, which a lot of people in the space know. They're more of a media company. I was a podcast producer for a while, and then I ended up co-hosting a podcast called Lightspeed with Mert, who's at Helios. So I was the nicer one on the podcast. He was the technical one. So it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It was a lot of fun, but I eventually kind of wanted to get out of just, I feel like everything I knew at that time was all from Twitter and other podcasts. I wanted to know what it actually felt like to build a company in the space or be part of that and then talk to real users, talk to real teams in the space. So that's really what made me take the jump to squads. And to be honest, I knew nothing about squads at all. I looked them up. I knew they were multi-sig, which I'd never used one myself at that point. But I had just heard incredible things. And then I saw that every team in Solana was using squads in some way. And I got on the phone with the founders. There's 3 different founders. They all kind of have their own niche within the company that provides a lot of value. And I just loved them. I was kind of like a VC bet in the sense that I didn't truly understand the product. I just understood the founders. And now I've been there for 2.5 years and made the good choice.
Good job. Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to come back to podcast land and spend time here. But no, I also agree. Love the team at Squads, but also the product has been great and great to work together on. And so actually, can you elaborate a little bit on kind of why you guys decided to have kind of Altitude as its own brand and how does that sit within it? Just
Yeah,
for
definitely.
anybody curious.
Yeah. So we started Squads in 2021. At the time, we were thinking about getting into governance. DAOs were a big thing. So everyone had a program like smart contracts on chain to have their own token. And it was going to be like vote with tokens, right? But then we quickly saw that to do that, you need a multi-sig. Like you need a way to control those tokens, to secure your programs, control those native tokens. And that's when Squads multi-sig was created. And at the time, there were some other competitors in the space. But over the last 4 years, Squads has just become the default multi-sig. So teams use it to manage their treasury. That could be Sol, that could be USDC. It's often a long tail token. So imagine you're a trader on Solana, you might have 15, 20 tokens there. It's also used to secure validator keys. When I say smart contracts, I think it's sometimes confusing. Like, how do you have tokens and you secure smart contracts in the same software?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because every smart contract essentially has a key that can upgrade that smart contract. And if that key gets compromised, you're in a lot of trouble because they can do anything they want. So what you can do is you can put that key behind a multi-sig, which means you need multiple people to sign off on any action. So it says, I want to
Mm-hmm.
update the smart contract. It's not just Garrett wants to update it. It's Garrett and Paula. So that would be a 2 out of 2
Very
multi-sig.
good.
So
Yes.
that's how that works. And over the last few years, we had a lot of teams as like the stablecoin market cap has exploded. We had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
teams that started to have bigger stablecoin balances in squads. We have about 600 teams on there today, and it secures about 15 billion in value, and 2 billion of that is stablecoins. Now, used to, it wasn't the case at all. There were very few stablecoins on squads.
Mm-hmm.
But as those balances grew, I think initially we got the team's value on chain, which were their tokens and programs, but then they saw that they could actually run their business. So they wanted to pay bills. They wanted to do invoices. They wanted to pay contractors around the globe, basically do cash management and just run their business, not just secure their on-chain operations. So you can kind of think about it as we help them secure their capital, and then they wanted to make that capital productive. Well, we thought about building some of these like invoicing, bill pay, corporate cards, all those things into squads. But we quickly realized that the person that's deploying programs on Solana, like the CTO or one of the developers, is very different than the person that's paying bills and running invoices. That's more of your
Very
CFO
different.
or your
Yes.
account, right? Like very different.
Or ops or anything. Yes.
And it's not just different people, they have very different needs. So we quickly
Mm-hmm.
realized that we need to build a whole new product. But the
Mm-hmm.
key that connects these two is that we built on top of our same smart accounts, our infrastructure under the hood that provides all that security and is what we're really known for. But instead of squads, Altitude abstracts all the crypto complexity. There's no gas fees, like you don't have to have Sol in your wallet. You don't have wallets that pop up. It looks like, and we just did a big product upgrade last week. So if you haven't logged into Altitude recently, check it out. It
Okay.
looks and feels just like a very modern fintech. It's very fast. It even has like quick keys. So, you hit like command
Oh.
pause really quickly. It's very cool. It's an awesome product. And honestly, it's just getting started. Altitude's been out since December. So it hasn't been that long. But we've already got hundreds of teams on board and they're doing bill pay. They're doing Swift. You can do SEPA payments, ACH, stablecoin payments. So like what's really unique is Altitude is not a bank, even though it kind of feels like one. So like most
Mm-hmm.
fintech products like Altitude build on top of a bank, and a lot of them are actually trying to become banks themselves. Like you'll see Mercury is a
Mm-hmm.
product a lot of teams know in Web2 space. They just applied for a banking charter. We're not built on a bank. Instead, we're built on an on-chain programmable account, which is actually on Solana. So like at the core are stablecoins, and that those
Mm-hmm.
stablecoins are really like that multi-sig infrastructure I touched on. But what's unique is we work with these global providers around the world that give you access to the best of the banking rails. So that's what I mentioned with ACH, SEPA, Swift, and we're working with more providers to get you local on and off ramps in other countries. And the reason that matters is because almost all the teams we work with and a lot of global entrepreneurs today operate across the
Mm-hmm.
globe, right? Even if their
Mm-hmm.
team is US, they're paying contractors, they're receiving money from clients in different countries, whether that's Singapore, Dubai, etc. So that's really what we give people. And I think in the long run, the best part about Altitude, beyond just that it's global by default, is that it's going to be more efficient, more automated than what you can build on a bank. And that's simply just because banks aren't programmable. And also, anytime you're trying to build at a rapid pace, you can only move at the speed of the bank. And we all know that's not very fast. So in the
Yes.
long run,
Yeah.
I think that's
Historically,
like,
no.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, you guys just launched what in December 2025, and you've already done about 200 million in payments from what I saw. So, A, congrats. And then I guess B, who are the most active users right now, or who's using it most heavily already?
Yeah, so we have definitely an unfair advantage in the Solana space just because we've been working with those teams for so long. Yeah,
Sure.
so we've got this like halo effect, right? And like I said, there's 2 billion of stables there, and a lot of those are not being used. They're not earning any rewards or yield. So like Altitude is a natural product for them to come to. So we
Mm-hmm.
definitely start heavy in the Solana space. But what's really nice is that we've also gotten accountants, designers, and lawyers because you have these teams that then work with Solana teams. So you have these lawyers that, for example, need to get paid in stables because they
Normal
work.
lawyers.
Yeah, no, well, normal
Okay.
lawyer, normal lawyers. Yeah,
Code
so they,
forward.
yes, but they probably work with some crypto teams, and so that's the
Okay.
difference. I
Sure.
would say
Okay.
right now, only probably like 5% of Altitude customers don't really care about stables at all or know what they are. So when you're using Altitude, we abstract stablecoins altogether. So like you look at your balance, you just see it in dollars, right? It says like my balance
Okay.
2.5 million. Now you can go down and see that it says USDC in there, but if you're just
Sure.
receiving ACH payments, then sending a Swift transfer, sending a SEPA payment, like you really don't know you don't have to know that stablecoins are there. But by default, I would say right now our ICP or like core customer does know what stables are. But they also
Mm-hmm.
know that a lot of their vendors, et cetera, don't accept fiat payments. And so for the last few years, they've had to have like an exchange account, then they have a hot wallet, then they have a bank account, then they probably have some type of fintech account. And one is just a pain to handle all those. And then two, reconciliation at the end of the month is a mess. So what Altitude can do is it collapses that from like 4 different logins to one. And I think that's really the key insight is a lame line I say is stablecoins sped up payments, but they slowed down everything else because we thought about how quickly and global you
Okay.
can make
Yeah.
coin payments, but we forgot about simple workflows. Like I just want to issue Paula an invoice and get paid and track that end to end, and that didn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, am I getting paid?" No, you're getting paid. But but no, that's really cool. And I think yeah, I'm just curious about all those different people using it. So that's pretty neat. And then I guess there is that definitely a gap between kind of like stablecoins exist and, people are using them and they're good for payments. And then a gap between that and a finance team is comfortable running, their money operations through them. So how do you guys think about kind of the operational accounting and kind of risk layers to that, and how that sits between business and on-chain rails?
Yeah, it's a great and important question. And one thing that I'd be remiss not to mention is when you talked about who the users are, one big update that's coming this next week is that we're
Mm-hmm.
going to have multi-chain payments and payouts. So no matter where you are, like you could be a team that's building on Base and you just want a better financial account, but you're like,
Mm-hmm.
everyone I pay is on Base. So originally you couldn't use Altitude, now you can. And all of it's abstracted, there's zero fees. So you can be anywhere, your stablecoins can be anywhere. So it shouldn't matter, right? You just want a better account. And that's the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
about how stablecoins should blend in the background. This is like truly how you get there. So had to touch on that. But
Yeah, that's very. So it was Solana before, now it's all the chains, or most major
it,
chains.
exactly, it will be. I think it should be next week. So I'm
Okay,
excited for it. I'm already
stay
trying to
tuned.
reach out to teams in the space. So there's not honestly, I don't think there's a platform out there like Altitude that's built for these stablecoin native teams, and that's
Mm-hmm.
any ecosystem. So I'm really excited to get Altitude in front of them because it truly makes it like agnostic to which blockchain you're on or network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Um, cool. And then, but before that, I guess what was the kind of how you guys see like the operational? Does that kind of answer like the risk between the business and on-chain payments
Yeah,
for like
yeah.
teams to be able to use it?
That's a massive piece. And it's something that like the security piece. So there's two parts of this. Like we've been working in the security space more or less for like 5 years because everything we do is about keeping value secure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, I remember when I actually got interviewed, when I was interviewing at Squads and I was talking to staff, I was like, what's the hardest thing? He's like, well, initially when building this company, I just couldn't sleep at night because we had so much value in our protocol. And, he's like, if something goes wrong, now what's
Mm-hmm.
nice is our whole team has spent the last 5 years, like millions of dollars, a lot of audits, formal verification,
Yes.
etc., to do everything we can to
Helps
make
you
it.
sleep at night.
I remember Steph on that same call was saying, he's like, now I can sleep at night because we've done all those things. So
Yes.
that's that's just been such a big focus. But now the hard part is you can make something secure, but can you also make it usable? Right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
just really want to make something really secure, honestly, it's not that hard. But it's like, how do you get the balance of security and ease of use? So Squad started there, and I would say it's relatively easy to use for technical teams. As a
Mm-hmm.
CFO, it's not at all. So Altitude is purely built for them. Now the great thing is we take that same security under the hood. So we kind of just get that by default because we use those same
Mm-hmm.
smart accounts that we've had the last 5 years. Now on top of that, it's like, what else do you do? Well, we recently just came out with last week something where this is on the little bit more technical part, but I'll call it multi-factor authentication. So
Mm-hmm.
usually if you look at a stablecoin product, or let's just start with a wallet. Like when you have a wallet, you have a single private public key pair. And if you lose that private key or if someone gets your seed phrase, your funds are gone. Right. So then that's why you have a multi-sig so that you have multiple keys controlling the account. So if one of them gets lost or one of them gets compromised, your funds are still secure. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like step one. That's great. Altitude now even actually like doubles down on that concept where every Altitude account is really a multi-sig. So it has multiple members controlling that account. And then on top of it, every member themselves is a multi-sig. So by default,
Mm-hmm.
if I add you, Paula, to my Altitude account, you'll have multiple keys from independent providers. So we use
Mm-hmm.
turnkey, privy, and a passkey. So if any of those are compromised or down, like let's just
Yeah.
say they're down, you can still access your funds and your funds are still secure. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that no one else does in the space. So just by that, and on top of our smart accounts, it makes Altitude the most secure place to hold and secure stables, like hands down. But that's kind of just the security piece, a little bit of a usability because that's all abstracted. Like you don't have to seal your different keys. Like we make that
Mm-hmm.
part easy while making it secure. Something that I'm excited about next, that'll be another unlock, is today
Mm-hmm.
you're proving anything in Altitude. Like say, Paula, you want to send $20,000 to me. Um,
Again.
if your podcast does really well, then we'll have like a approval threshold set in Altitude where it might say 2 out of 4 people need to approve that transaction before it can be submitted and executed.
Uh-huh.
Right. That's why so that Paula, you just can't send all the funds out on your own. So that's why you would make
Mm-hmm.
it. We'll have to do it. We're gonna make it soon where you can also have that threshold, like that approval threshold, dynamic based on the dollar amount. So maybe anything under 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
you want people to approve it. Anything over 100,000, you want 3. So that's just like a
Mm-hmm.
simple way to do it, but that way you can increase security based on the needs of the transaction. So you're almost doing
Mm-hmm.
security at the transaction level, because a $10 transfer should not be treated the same as a $1 million transfer.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll see about the 20K. But so I think on that point, and I think you've already touched it. What bringing on chains assets allows as far as programmable smart accounts and granular permissions, multi-factor policy. Was that everything, or is there other aspects as well that are unlocked by bringing uh, by using these types of on-chain assets?
Yeah, there's so many directions you can go here. Some are intuitive, and some I think are going to be huge unlocks, but they sound really cliche. So like the cliche one is automation, but really agentic workflows, and just how much time can you save for these CFOs. Now, if you're just like an independent entrepreneur by yourself, like your workflows might be relatively simple depending on your
Mm-hmm.
business, but as you scale up, you might have 5, 10 entities, and your AP and AR is insane. And the amount of workflows you need to do, not only between entities, but the recurring payments, it's a lot. And so today, I think some people would be a little gun shy to have a transaction execute end to end without a human looking at it. So like imagine your company had payroll. Like, would you let an agent today create that payment, approve it, and execute it without you looking at it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You may not fully trust it. Now, if you jump ahead 5, 10 years, I kind of guarantee you that's going to happen. I think a much shorter time frame than that, but it will. So I definitely think those end-to-end automations are going to be huge, and you can uniquely do it with stablecoins and our on-chain policies, because this is, again, kind of nerdy, but when you have the policies which are on-chain, you have the stablecoins which are on-chain, and the settlement all on the same layer. When you can do that, you can program things you can never do on a bank. Because if you're a traditional fintech, you have your software policies that are like in the cloud somewhere. You have the customer money, which is in a bank, and then you have settlement, which is like in this global network of different payment rails. For those to all talk to each other is quite hard. And as a fintech, you just can't program things on there unless someone at every single step gives you the permission to do so. But when it's sitting in an altitude account, like it's all on chain, it's all programmable, so you can do that from day one. Now, like we're going to take our time and ensure we do this correctly. So like we're not going to enable automated payroll tomorrow, but that is something that we're working towards. And the first step of that would say, okay, maybe the agent can't execute it on its own, but it could create the transaction. And then maybe be one of the voters that says, I actually approve this, but I still want Paula to look at it before it sends. And then you can see maybe a year later, it actually does the whole piece. So that's part of it.
Okay. That makes sense. And I think that kind of aligns with, I agree with how things are probably going to evolve, and it'll probably be sooner than 5 to 10 years. So, I think a lot of, business facing stablecoin products sometimes feel like maybe just a wrap exchange account. What do you feel like is genuinely different about a self-custodial stablecoin account, and building that UX for it?
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes I don't even want to say the word self-custodial because it like scares people. And the reason it scares
yes.
is we're used to a hot wallet and you lose your key and it's gone, right? So multi-sigs at least helped with that. And then altitude is just a whole other layer on top of that. Not only the nested multi-sig thing, but just the abstractions and the quality that we have. But hold on, what was your question? I just went on my rant.
This happens to me. What's different about kind of a self-custodial stablecoin account? Yes.
You can leave that in too. It's up to you.
I will.
Okay, so the things that are unique about having a self-custodial account are a few things. So what is really cool about having stablecoins at the core? It's cool for us as a fintech company because we can ship faster. Like we're not waiting on a bank. We don't have to get like relationships with banks around the globe to onboard clients from different places. So like that for us is great, and it means we can service more people in different countries faster. Now the question is like, sure, stablecoins are global. Like anyone in the world could technically create an altitude account and hold stables, but can they get access to ACH? Can they get access to their local banking rails? And like for people that do need to off ramp, which is a lot of the world still, like they might need to pay someone in dollars or pesos, or local currency. Sure. We don't have full support for that yet. So today we have ACH, we have Wire, we have SEPA, and we have SWIFT. So with SWIFT, you can pretty much pay people anywhere, right? But the problem is with SWIFT, it can be $30 to $70+ depending on where, because you have like correspondent banking fees, etc. So one thing that's really cool about having stablecoins at the core, as opposed to building on a bank, is that we can find providers like Bridge, like Do, like MoonPay, and others who have banking relationships in different countries. So you can do these on and off ramps there, so you can get access to banking rails. And what's nice is each one doesn't have to have a handshake with each other and work with each other. So when you build on a bank, bank A has to get comfortable with bank B in another country, and then it has to get
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with bank C in another country, and all that can take time and it's slow. For us,
Mm-hmm.
we just have coins sitting in the middle, and if we find someone in Dubai that will accept USDC as payment, great. If we find someone in South America that accepts USDC as payment, that's great too. And those parties don't even have to know about each other because we don't have a bank sitting in the middle. We just have stablecoins. So
Mm-hmm.
because that can work with and expand into new markets much faster. So that's from like us building quickly. I would say just from a security standpoint, like a lot of people in the US are used to FDIC insurance. And I'm glad we have FDIC, right? Like banks have failed in the US. Unfortunately, FDIC is kind of like a disaster management. It's not disaster prevention, right? Like the
No.
reason
Yeah.
why FDIC kind of exists is you have banks fail and they have fractional reserve lending.
Mm-hmm.
Stablecoins done right actually remove that altogether. The stablecoins are fully backed 1-to-1 by short-term duration U.S. Treasuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're not actually lending your money at all to some party you don't know. Like today in Altitude, if you log into your account and you see 100,000, $1 million there, then you have $1 million actually sitting in a ledger that you can withdraw and send to any wallet anytime. Like
Mm-hmm.
if the Altitude customer today wanted to withdraw the funds from their account, they could all do so at the exact same time. Now, no bank can say that. They have all the deposits. So depending on who you are, one, like you might actually prefer that to FDIC. I think it's a great model that's going to have a lot of traction going forward because, and maybe there will be some type of hybrid in the future. I don't know, but it's not disaster management. It's disaster prevention. So you
Mm-hmm.
have things like the multi-sig infrastructure I talked about. You have on-chain policies. You have all of that. So it's like, how can you set this up correctly where you can scale one beyond the US because not everyone has access
Sure.
to FDIC, but also
Mm-hmm.
expand in a way where you can actually just build better financial products because when you build it on a bank, FDIC is nice, but you're also extremely limited. So like that is something that we said self-custodial. I'm not really saying self-custodial here, but it's all the same. It's just like we're
Mm-hmm.
building on top of the stablecoin balance. And that's something that it really unlocks. It's got to be done correctly. And that's why like at times, honestly, I was frustrated on how long it took us to get Altitude out the door, but it's because this
Sure.
whole point was so important to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, that was always the point, I think, to make a financial system that worked like better, ideally, in the end than like the bank current infrastructure. So, yeah, I like that approach. And then I guess kind of on the flip side, so those are so many of the clear benefits. I guess where in some ways does the smart account model kind of, yeah, where are the trade-offs, that you guys might have to think of when deciding whether to, or what are the trade-offs when shipping to non-crypto native businesses when it comes to smart accounts?
Yeah.
I won't edit that out either.
uh, it's a good question. So I'll get back to Altitude on this, but this just came up into my mind. I know like smart accounts were not new, but used in a new way with squads originally, squads multi-sig.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if you wanted to interact with DeFi protocols, for example, there were limitations. It was great for holding funds, holding assets, sending assets. But as soon as you wanted to like interact with some smart contract to do DeFi transactions, it was limiting.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's listening to this who's used squads multi-sig and wanted to use DeFi, it does work, but it doesn't work out of the box with everything. It adds an additional layer. Now, the nice thing is that not only have we made our programs better over time, but Solana's also had updates that support this model. Put my light back on. And for Altitude, I mean, the big thing is just getting that security versus usability trade-off. I wouldn't say it's weird. I hate to give you this answer, but I wouldn't say I feel like there is a big trade-off. If anything, like users should feel a better experience. Probably the hardest thing to date has been like good accounting when you're doing on-chain flows, like stablecoin
Mm-hmm.
payments, as opposed to like working with some other system like Ramp that's just in a bank and it's been set up with all of your accounting systems and ERP systems. The nice thing with Altitude is that we have like QuickBooks ready with CSV exports,
Mm-hmm.
and we're soon going to have like instant sync, so you can sync on the go as you want, that take all of your stablecoin transactions and your fiat transactions, because all those are happening out of Altitude. You're doing both, right? You're doing stablecoins, ACH, and you're doing cross-chain transactions, but we're labeling everything in such a way that you can upload it into QuickBooks, and it's actually just easy in a month reporting. Whereas I'd say to date, that's probably been the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Thing. And it's just like you'll talk to every CFO and they say like reporting and like thinking about that end of month close of stablecoins is a mess.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that it's coming soon. We're evolving through that. Yeah, then I guess kind of moving more kind of macro level kind of to the Solana ecosystem. Obviously, you're coming from Squads, which is the leading multi-sig on Solana. Um, Besides that, was there anything specific about Solana that makes it kind of really good for business grade stablecoin, UX and transactions that might have been harder on other chains?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think one, the whole community has been focused on performance since day one, when
Sure,
that was
immediately.
actually when it was actually not cool at one point, and like used to it got shaded for being about performance. But it's been about performance and resiliency. And so, like, one thing I just say to friends and people I'm talking about that are in the crypto space, and they talk about like, where do you build? I'm like, well, honestly, you want to build somewhere where, one, there are other builders. Two, there's like a toolkit that you can build with. It's hardened. Like, Solana's been around for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you just want to be somewhere where it's not going to die. Like, it is
Helpful.
there. And I know that sounds lame, but like, Solana is like one of the few places that's focused on performance that's been around for a long time. You can, everything that we need to do, we can already do on Solana today. Obviously, there's teams in the space that there are certain things, like you see these new chains come out like Tempo, et cetera. And I think that's awesome. They probably
Mm-hmm.
came out late with like framing things in a certain way, packaging things in a certain way that could make it easier to implement things. But
Mm-hmm.
now you have all these different teams on Solana, which, like, one of the reasons we actually love this community is because we think there's so many good builders here and
Mm-hmm.
tools to build on top of that is quickly changing on Solana too. So, like, for our payments use case, I mean, Solana really provides everything we need. And what we really need is just, we need something that's going to be there. We need something with low fees and is fast. And that's what Altitude does. Or sorry, that's
Okay.
what Solana. Altitude does it too, but that's what
It does it
Solana.
on Solana. Nice. Yeah, no, I agree, and I think yeah, it has so much. It's been around for quite some time comparative to the space, and but it kind of built a lot of those things from the beginning. So that makes sense. I guess what are some of the things from your point of view that you feel like maybe Solana needs to mature for this next leg of the stablecoin growth, or some of the improvements you see that are likely to happen?
Yeah, I was raising my hand like a little kid because I wanted to add, which
You can
is
speak.
which is kind of lame, is that I used to get really in the weeds about studying how different blockchains worked, et cetera. I thought it was fascinating. Like, when Cosmos first came out, all of that was really unique, and app chains and L2s and so forth. And it's funny, I actually spend almost no time on that today just because, and no one on our team really does. I mean, we have people that work on the protocol level, and like, Solana improving over time is very important to us. But at the same time, it's almost such a non-factor in many ways, and
Hmm.
that's a good thing. Like, the fact that I don't have some very concise way to say, like, Solana is better because XYZ is, it
You're just
provides
proven.
what it's just there and it
Hmm.
works. So honestly, that's what I'd say about that. I just wanted to hit that.
Okay, yeah, good.
That's
Thank
just
you
my
for
test
speaking.
story.
You can raise your hand again for the next one. But then, yeah, so you obviously, so kind of going from the things that I think Altitude unlocks is, you guys work with contractors, crypto native companies, remote first teams, I believe, helping them with payroll across currencies. What do you feel like is the biggest commercial unlock that you've seen when kind of stablecoin rails replace traditional rails? And maybe is there any friction that's there?
Yeah. I mean, by far, it's just speed and fees right now just stand out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of making a Swift transfer, like I said, maybe the cheapest you'll find that's $15, but it could be up to 100 basically. And if you're able to replace that with stablecoins now, the thing is, you need the other party to accept stablecoins for to truly get that full benefit, right? Now, the cool thing is that that's happening, and I'm seeing that, like, everyone talks about the future of money, a future of money like panel. Like, we see this, we see this today in Altitude. We've actually seen this for years, but we have businesses today that are like paying people in South America with staples. Then they pay contractors around the world with staples. They're receiving staples. Now they also do some ACH payments. Like, they do some Swift payments. And the nice thing is you can do all of that in Altitude. So, um, I don't know. That's been kind of an interesting thing to see, and yeah, I've lost my train of thought.
It was interesting to see that's how teams have been using stablecoin rails and everything that's unlocked in Altitude.
Yeah. Okay. Let me continue on that. So obviously, speed and fees, I think, are the biggest things. The other one is just access. Like, we have a lot of teams that are in the U.S., but we have a lot of teams that some of the operators might be in the U.S., but the entity's
Sure.
not. And they
Yes.
just need access not only to a secure place to manage their stable coins, but they need a place to do ACH, to do Swift, to do SEPA, to do like
Yes.
24/7 FX, to have permissions and workflows, like something that feels like a modern fintech account, and they want to do it without using all these different platforms. So honestly, like that's the huge unlock. And that's where I talked about earlier. A lot of our teams understand stables, they operate in stables, but not all of them do. They just don't have access to ACH wire. Like it kind of, we're in the
Mm-hmm.
US, it's very easy for us. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't. And the cool thing is that Altitude over time is just going to be more and more global. So you can already access it today in 150 plus countries. You can already send stablecoins around the world, but we're going to have more and more local on and off ramps just every month. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be. So I'm excited because it's truly a global product. And, I've worked remote for the last 4 years. Basically, our team is all remote. I get paid in
Mm-hmm.
stable, actually, which like no one does. I think a fun fact is that Squad has never had a bank account. Like we've just been native to this ecosystem.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense.
we're believers. Like we're believers in
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah.
Seeing how it works. Now we've also seen how painful it is to do everyone's invoice at the end of the month. That's why we created Altitude. Like we have a QuickBooks export. We use QuickBooks internally. Like we use these tools, and we think we're just early. Like I think even if it's abstracted from people, I think a majority of the global payments are going to be through stablecoins, and
Mm-hmm.
even intra-company payments, like maybe inter-company is the right word, when you have multiple entities, which is
Inter.
funny. We work with small teams, but not all of them, but most of them have multiple entities. So once you start working with giant companies, like they lose so much money per year on just simple transactions between their own entities.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I do believe it will be obfuscated in the end, but I mean, yeah, we used to invoice so much in kind of stable coins. It was our preferred way of getting paid. So makes ton of sense. Then I guess just because we're coming to the end here, I guess looking at the next 12 months, what do you feel like is success for Altitude? And, where do you expect the stablecoin usage to be by 2027?
Yeah, good question. Success would be, like I said, we have a lot of customers in the Solana ecosystem. We have some that are in the EVM. We have some designers. We have some lawyers, accountants. But I just want to, we also have like a few global importers and exporters. But I just want to like completely start dominating the non-crypto market, and I really want to show that
Oh,
that's
okay.
possible. People have talked about it for a long time. I truly think we can do it with Altitude. I use Altitude for my own LLC. It's a very cool product, and just the automations I already know that we're working on are just, it makes finance a little bit fun, as lame as that sounds. So I'm actually really excited for that. I'm excited that I think we have an awesome team, and I think that we've been working a long time to get this new infrastructure in place. And now that we do, I know that we can ship these upcoming features and the ones after it that I haven't even discussed really quick, and we can do it in a high quality way. So I'm excited to see that put out there, because so much of perception is also just momentum, and like in how a company is, and
Yes.
being willing to, I mean, some people, like I've had a Bank of America account since I was 18. I still use it. It pays me nothing. It's kind of trash. I mean, I have a large part of my portfolio is in stablecoins. So, but from just a bank, like I've never switched. Like the switching cost feels high, even though it's easy.
Yeah, I haven't switched my from 17
Not
years old.
only
Yeah.
like we need to not only ship, but we need to produce the momentum, both from a brand and just like general perception. Because to get people to switch over, you need people to I mean, get excited. I'm kind of talking like marketing here. Like it's important.
You're
So
doing great.
I don't do that, but I think our team is killing it right now. So the momentum between the developer shipping and then the marketing team doing their thing, and obviously like sales, we got to do our job. I think it's going to be huge. So I'm very excited for the year going forward. And where the stablecoin market is, I have no idea. I think it's continuing.
It's a big question.
I think it's going to continue to go up. I have no doubt in the long run it's going to continue. I mean, I've seen myself that once you start dipping your toes in the stablecoin space, if you do it right, if you use the wrong product, I can see that you might step away actually for a while. So like that is a downside. Like people that have gone into the space, they've gone with the wrong company, they've done the wrong thing. That can hurt. That can knock you out probably for a few years. But if you do it right and you experience it and you make a few payments, that balance, if anything, only grows over time. Like more and more of my balance has become stable coins. And I think that's going to be the same with companies. So you just need more people. And I'm seeing this today. They'll look at us because they're a tax firm. They
Hmm.
start working with a crypto company that says, hey, we'd really like to pay you in stables. And then they have enough of those companies, or it's enough money that they say, okay, maybe we should actually do this. And then they're like, how do we do this? I need Altitude to be in their mind for that. And obviously,
Hmm.
even if it's just not Altitude, I would love for them to accept stables in general, but if it was Altitude, all the better. So it's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, ideal. Now I'm tempted to create an altitude for, or create an altitude account for my LLC. So maybe I'll reach out to sales.
That's-
But perfect. We're coming to the end. So I want to make sure if there's anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to highlight in the session today, I want to make sure I give you that time too.
No, this was great. I really enjoyed all your questions. They're good. Hopefully, I like rambled a lot. Lost my last what the question was. I got too excited.
They were heavy
But
questions.
they were
There's like
good.
3 parts to like many of the questions, so you are okay.
I would just say that if anyone's interested in anything I said, to hit me up. You can find Altitude on X. It's just at Altitude. I think I'm at Garrett Harper _. So you'll be able to find that. But just like send me a DM. We can do a demo. I'll walk you through it. It's a great product. Like I said, I love to use it myself. So yeah, that'd be my ask.
Perfect. Awesome. Then you've heard it from here. So thank you so much for taking the time today. Hopefully we continue plenty of partnerships and collaborations together and maybe host more cocktail events soon. But yeah, thank you for taking the time today. It was a pleasure.
I hope so. Thanks for having me on, Paula.
Cool. Bye.